Hello and welcome, you crazy people. My name is Jay, and today we're going to be talking about the Atomic Mass Games' first Star Wars based live stream. Now, obviously, I focus mainly on Star Wars Legion in this channel, and without trying to be rude about the situation, it wasn't that interesting for Star Wars Legion, quite frankly, because the stuff that was actually revealed is the stuff that we already had been leaked, and it was leaked by an Asmodee website, and that's the AAS speeder truck and the LAAT, the gunship. There is a couple of little nuggets of information that we will talk about, but first let's have a look at what we actually did get. There is stuff for X-Wing and there was stuff for Armada, but I'm not really going to touch on that too much. I don't play those games, so this is the box. I'm just going to let it play right now. They show the box, and they also show the model, at least. There we go, there's the model. And, when I pause it, it goes grey. A little bit of shame. And my head's a little bit in the way. The model itself looks really good. I don't think the actual image of this, it's like a beigey grey, is that interesting. But the model looks good. The roof light comes off and you can have the doors open. As models go, it's good. That's going to be on the tank base, the super long big one. Obviously the guns there can be removed and stuff like that. So I really like the little glass thing at the front as well. Obviously it's just plastic, but you can see there that the roof does come off. So as models go, great. Now we start ramping it up a little bit of interest. So the next one is actually a dual faction. Now I did speculate if it was going to be dual faction. Some people disagreed with me, but I was like, sort of makes sense. And there we have it. We can see it on the front of the box. The Separatists, not the Separatists. Is it Separatists? Not the Separatists. What they're called? Galactic Republic, and the Imperials. The LAAT LE Patrol Transport. Now, that one's a shot. It looks small. It looks like a little miniature helicopter. But when we see the model, by the way, the stuttering is on the stream end, not my end. When we see the model, it's quite big. It's a big boy. And I really quite like it. This one appears to be on the, I can't remember the name of it. It's the ATST size base, but the one that's got 4 different directions. Presumably because it's going to hover and that kind of thing. I think he did talk about, I don't think you can really have the roof coming off on this one, but look, it's still got the plastic thing where you're at the front. As models go, very nice, very nice. Dual faction, it's nice to see. That does raise the questions technically the Separatists are actually getting ditched. We have a release for 3 of the 4 factions. I don't think we necessarily need symmetry. I don't think it's necessarily a big issue, but for some people, I can imagine it being. So when there you go, that's the base. The one is it the ATST? No, is it the ATST? But the one with it, the Separatist tank has it, I think, but I can't remember what it's called. So really, as reveals go for Legion, that was about it. There isn't really anything else. I will try and very briefly, the stuff for Armada, if you're interested in it. This is available on the Twitch stream if you want to go through. They announced some ships and pilots for X-Wing. Now let's talk about the actual nuggets of information that we revealed. Well, first, no confirmation, or they didn't address the leaks. I think everybody would agree, probably better if they stop the leaks. The way that Atomic Mass Games are going to trickle out their information, it's a little bit awkward for me, but it is what it is. They did say that so there's a couple of things. They said that the majority of press releases, I think they said going forward, are going to be on the Atomic Mass website. But then they did mention briefly that some of them will still be on FFG, so there's going to be a bit of a murky transition. Branding on the actual items and units and stuff like that, for the totality of 2021, it's very likely that it's going to say Atomic Fantasy Flight Games, because they even alluded to it. They said these things were basically being worked on 24 months ago. These are long, big boy projects. They can't, within reasonable constraints, they couldn't have something ready for now. So they're basically just going to be releasing everything that FFG were going to release. The only things they could change are superficial things like rules and organized play and stuff like that. Organized play, there's no worlds in 2021, but not because they don't want one. It's just the world situation as it is. So branding is 2021 FFG. 2022 they said mostly it'll be going to Atomic Mass Games. Simone was talking about a Well, they were talking about how they're going to have non-competitive, I don't know how to put it, narrative play for Star Wars Legion specifically, and they talked about having a story based around the comic book Vader Down, which I don't really know anything about, but presumably it's a badass Vader being a defender or attacking lots of people. So there's that. Now, you may also know that the rules forum on FFG's website, well, the actual total forum, has been closed down. Now, if you want to talk about the game, you can check out Crabox Discord or mine or wherever you want, Reddit, all the Reddits, all that kind of stuff. They're all available. But they are having on the Atomic Mass Games website, they're going to have a rules forum. Now, everybody was like, what about just non-rules questions? They didn't mention that, so we got to presume that that's not coming. And that's good, because on the FFG one, there was a list of like frequently asked questions that they had post replies for, and those were official rules. You could like pull them out at a tournament, and I did that in the past. I was like, yes, Vader can throw his saber with Relentless because it says he can do it here. So that's good that's going to exist. I presume a lot of the same questions will just get answered the same way initially. The releases that we just saw, they did say May 20th for those releases, and they also talked about how in March they will be having a big Star Wars stream. They said sort of like they did for Gen Con, which I didn't see, but sort of like that, but no specific reason. And they didn't talk about any app. I just mention an app every video because I just want an app, and I probably will continue to mention it until I get one. And one thing, it sort of sounded to me like that they have to keep Marvel Crisis Protocol and Marvel games separate from the Star Wars games. And you might think, well, duh, but you also might think, well, they're both owned by Disney. Just the way that they never actually directly mentioned the Marvel game, apart from saying Marvel comic for Darth Vader, sort of got me thinking that they have to have, like, for some technical legal reason, they may have to keep them completely distinct and have very minimal crossover. It's just something to know that I think if that is the case, you're unlikely to get a crossover in game, which is what some people may have wanted. And they did also mention, just very briefly on X-Wing, that they are currently not planning on having an X-Wing 3.0. They never said about a Star Wars Legion 2.0, even though we technically have a 2.0 rulebook. But you know what I mean? We never talk about a second edition there. Is that everything, and how do I feel about it? Well, fine. I'm not a big fan necessarily, and I think I may have started saying it and then never said it, of the trickling out of information in a sense. It's good and bad. It's good for, I think, customers, the really hardcore fans. They can watch their streams. They talk about how they're going to be having more streams. They're going to be doing Star Wars streams on Wednesday and Friday. Next Wednesday, I think they're having like a designer on for Star Wars Legion. They talk about getting Luke on and stuff like that. So, they're going to have more streams, which is nice. But like, I don't want to have to watch all the streams. like I care about the games, but quite frankly, it's not my entire life. And their hobby, they want to make it a whole hobby thing. So the people who are really invested are going to be able to get really, really invested by watching all the streams and trickling out the information. But I'm not sure that's necessarily for me. The good thing, I think FFG weren't necessarily too off the ball. I just wish that they did their reveals a little bit close to the release, and that the full previews were like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before they actually came out. It always just felt like they were off on timing rather than what they delivered. But having these streams where you're going to see the model, like we saw the model, we've seen the model in the flesh as they announced it. That's new. Normally, well, in general, that's a normal release. That's new. Normally we see the 3D renders and stuff like that. They're probably painting that next week. So that's going to be, it's a different strategy. And I think one that's actually better. Don't get me wrong. Well, I think it's actually better. It's just not better for me, which is fine. I'm not asking them to appease me. I mean, if they wanted to, it's fine, but I'm not asking them to appease me. How do I feel about the Star Wars Legion releases? I do want them to stop the leaks. And I wasn't really, I don't, some people they're expecting massive things. I think everything we're getting this year, as they've said by the branding, is going to be FFG. It's all going to be stuff that FFG worked on, for better or for worse, whatever you want to take it. They do sound like they're going to keep the competitive side of Star Wars Legion in the organized play. Obviously, having to like not have a Worlds 2021 makes complete sense. But I don't think that's an indication that competitive play at the high end is going to change. Not that I'm ever actually going to get to the high end. And the narrative stuff, like they sort of already had it. It's just a little bit different. I mean, I'm not really sure it's going to make a difference if they had the little like skirmish competitive narrative play versus having Darth Vader as like a raid boss. Like the people who are interested in that are going to play it, and the people who aren't going to play it, it may just be more focus on it, and it might just be a little bit better. So, I mean, it would have been nice to have, seen something proper for Legion, but I think it would have been nice to have been surprised. It is what it is. I do hope they stop that. Especially, I really hope they stop it, especially because it actually comes from FFG. It comes from Asmodee, sorry. And yeah, like it's your company. Yeah, is there anything else? Not really. X-Wing stuff is just more ships. They're not going to do a 3.0. Armada's getting more ships. If you're interested in those games, fine. Like the new Star Wars game that they said in the press release that they'll probably end up looking at making new Star Wars games. We the earliest it could probably be ready, the earliest that they themselves have said, would be the middle of 2022, because they said things are like 18 months. So if they started working it, let's say December, like it's June 2022, and then it would be ready to release. So I'm going to go bold here and say that you might get a new Star Wars game, and this would be very quick, in September of 2022, right? And Gen Con. And that they would have to have worked on it really, really quickly. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts. That's my thoughts. I mean, I'm not sure I'm going to necessarily follow those little streams every day. I like recorded this one in case anything too interesting was said. But I mean, I'm not disappointed in terms of like AMG. I think their hands are tied at the moment and what they can announce and what they can release and stuff like that. I just wish we had stuff like sub-factions announced. I want an app. I want more characters, because I think characters add a lot of flavour quite easily. So, I mean, I want an app. Okay, have a beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.